It's here.
Thank you.
Hi, Brian. Hi.
Hello, Brian.
Hey.
So, we have Abdullah Kamal. Is this the first on the schedule? But I think he's not here yet. So I suppose we can start with you, Brian.
Sure.
So whenever you're ready.
Brian, I think George have some delay in some area. He cannot reach home on time. Then you are an international speaker about the innovation and the entrepreneurs. You can speak about your models and strategy. You will have 25 minutes. We need to hearing about your models and kit.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so I have a challenge here because I prepared a 15-minute talk, which is actually 10.
No problem. You can present as you wish from your kit. Same what you sent me before.
All right, so let's do this. I'm going to share my screen, and I think you see a big mess of stuff right now. And you see my screen now. Yep. So I think, Peter, do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Cool. So I'm glad to be here. Peter, tell me about your background because I don't know anything about you.
Yes, so I am an assistant professor of finance at Stockton University.
Okay. And Stockton is in which country?
US, South Jersey, South New Jersey.
Okay, so I'm American, so I'm really embarrassed now. Okay, I'm Brian Cassidy. I'm here to talk to you about making pitches. And my hope is this will be your most productive 15 minutes of the event. In this talk, I'm going to talk to you about how your students are probably making pitches wrong. The tendency is when you start a pitch, you sit down, you first furiously type away at PowerPoint, make some beautiful slides, and then later figure out the story that you're going to use to pull it all together. I'd like to suggest a different way, and a way which is going to be using AI in an effective way to make a presentation faster, easier, and better. And there's 3 steps. 1 is you make a story. 2 is you get some feedback. And lastly, you make a deck if you need to. Now, as a starting point, I'd like to say that, in fact, you do not need a pitch deck. In fact, a lot of the best pitches I've seen are without a pitch deck. What you need is something to say and something to ask for. Now, before we start, let me tell you who I am. My name is Brian Cassidy. I'm an entrepreneur. I've set up 11 companies in 6 different countries. I've sold 8 along the way. I work as an author and a researcher. I do research on AI and creativity, and everybody's talking about AI right now, which is kind of cool. I'm also a teacher and a mentor. I teach at a few top business schools, Berkeley, Stanford, London Business School, EdHec, and work at some accelerators. But my focus these days is less on the fortunate few and more on the motivated many. Last year, I taught 10,000 students, and that might sound like a lot, but I've got a big goal. And my big goal is to coach, train 1 million innovators by 2027. So at this rate, Peter, it'll take me 100 years to reach my target. So I have to figure out a way to do it faster and better. One of the ways to do that is through the use of AI. And the second is to make tools which allow me to reach people where I don't have to be there. So I have pitching courses up online. I have a pitching playbook, and I have some pitching tools, which I'm going to talk to you about today. And I have a promise for you. If you're willing to do the work and follow the instructions that are here, you'll never make another bad pitch. I promise. Now, if you want, you can download this talk. And in this talk, You're going to have 4 prompts to make a pitch in an hour. You will also get access to a longer talk, and you'll get access to a book. Every author tells you you should read their book, but I'll give you a copy of my book. I think it's pretty good. So before we start, let's talk about what a pitch is. A pitch is not what a startup makes. A pitch is not only a presentation to get investment. A pitch is something that you use to change people's minds. And the way that I design a pitch is basically it's something that happens between 2 things. Before you make your pitch, people believe something. And after your pitch, people should believe something else, and they should take some sort of action. The thing that happens between those 2 is your pitch. Now, how do you make a great pitch? I love this cartoon. I'm a big fan of Far Side. It explains almost everything. First pants, then shoes. You have to do some things in order. And the first thing you need to do to make a great pitch is to get your story right. And then you have to work on your deck. It's like pants, then shoes. By the way, my son quite often does it the other direction. There's 5 principles to get a pitch together. First of all, it's the mindset. A pitch is about a story. A story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's about practice and feedback. It's about working and improving things. And lastly, making your slides. And what's hard is the only person I see here, Peter, is you. So the only person with their camera on. So I'm talking directly to you. Let me start out with something that'll show you a way that we make presentations wrong. And what you'll see here is a letter. And it's a letter from Lucy to Shirley. And I'm going to read the letter to you. It says, "Dear Shirley, remember last Saturday afternoon when I was playing in the park with my boyfriend and you came over and he told me that when my back was turned, you kissed him. And on Sunday, you came to my house and my mom made you a tuna fish salad for lunch. And you said, yuck, that's the worst salad I ever ate. And yesterday, when my cat brushed against your leg, you kicked her and threatened to sick your dog Monster on her. Well, for all these reasons, I hate you and I no longer want to be your friend." This is how we've been taught to communicate. We give our reasons, and at the end, we conclude. Let me give you a different letter. "Dear Shirley, I hate you. Here are my reasons. You stole my boyfriend, you insulted my mother, and you scared my cat." This is a way that you should start out your stories, a way to start out your presentations. Now, if you want to make a story, there's 4 questions that you need to answer. First question you need to ask is, what do I want to talk about? What's the purpose of my talk? Why am I here? What do people believe before? What should they believe afterwards? You have to get your introduction right. The worst thing to do is to stand up in front of a group and say, how many people have this problem? Nobody raises their hands. What you need to do is start immediately, get it going. You have a why. Problem. What is the problem you solve? What is the thing you promise? Why should they believe you? And why would their life be different? And lastly, you have to end with a call to action. What happens now? And why should they take action? Now, there's different ways you can do this. The old-fashioned way, you take down a piece of paper and you write. The little bit more modern way is you take out your computer and you write. But there's an even better way. Everybody today is talking about AI. And I'm going to give you 2 ways to do it with AI. Now, if you took down, you'll get an access to the presentation later. But there's a prompt you can copy. It's on the right-hand side here. If you answer the questions, which are the ones I just gave you, and ask ChatGPT to give you a 3 to 5 minute pitch, it will give you a 3 to 5 minute pitch. And that 3 to 5 minute pitch will actually be pretty good. Or What you can do is go to this link, and at this link, there is a free pitch maker tool. Doesn't cost you anything. You push on the button to get started, and you go through a step-by-step process, answering the 5 questions. And at the end, you'll get a pitch. Now, one of the big myths about AI is that it makes great content. It usually doesn't. It makes okay content. What you need to do then is you got to get some feedback. You got to improve it. Now, the best way to get feedback is to go out and talk to people. Now, there's a problem with the way we talk to people. We go talk to our mom, we talk to our friends, we make a presentation, and they say, Brian, that's fantastic. Your mom says that's great, son. The really useful question to ask is, Mom, I know you love me, and I know you love me more than my brother. And no, it wasn't me who broke the car all those years ago, and I really need your help. I'm going to make a pitch. I want you to present, but I want you to tell me why it's bad. Instead of asking, is it good? Get real feedback. Now, there's 3 options to get feedback. The obvious and best way to do it is to talk to human beings. A second best solution is to talk to AI. And actually, AI is cool because it's pretty non-threatening. Now, there's a prompt here again. And if anybody can read that, your eyes are much better than me. But that prompt will actually allow you to evaluate a pitch and get a full score of a pitch. Now, what I've done, since I have time here, I'm actually going to show you something. So boom, boom, boom. Let's see if it comes out. No, it doesn't. Oh, what a bummer. Okay, so what I was going to do, Peter, is I had actually preloaded this into ChatGPT to show you that, in fact, if you put in a pitch, you get it back. But unfortunately, I closed the window there. So another way you can do this is there's a free pitch review tool. 3-step process. You enter your pitch, enter your email, get a review. Quick, easy, free again. What do you get out of it? When we put this together, I was working for a number of accelerators, and we did work to evaluate how the experts were reviewing pitches. We ended up having 15 different areas that we're evaluating pitch. What this will do is it will give you an evaluation in all those areas. The first part is the introduction. Second part is about the clarity of your message, your call to action, urgency, and what do you talk like as a human being. You get a score, all these areas 1 to 10, and you get some objective feedback saying, how do I improve it? Now, you can also do this with human beings, and that's a positive way. The second thing you can do is you can actually, we do have a paid version of this, and if you want, you can be really clever and do this on your own. But basically, we take our pitch, we put it in, and we ask the AI to improve your pitch so you get a better version of your pitch. We also give 6 different versions of your pitch. 2 are structured formats, the NABC pitch and the 5-part pitch. 2 are interesting formats, the elevator pitch and a Pekka-Kucha pitch. And the last one is a storytelling pitch and a problem solution pitch. What you get back out of that is an evaluation of all those different variants, and you get to choose which one's your best. Now, this is where everybody starts. You start by making your slides. And I've got a secret, fast way to do this. If you take the prompt, which is here, please act like a pitching coach, expert at making talks and pitches. Please make a slide outline for a PowerPoint presentation based on this talk. For each slide, provide a title, key bullet points, the script, a suggested image. With that, and only that, you can go to a tool. This is not our tool. This is Gamma.ai. And you can make a pitch in 47 seconds. Let me show you. So you go in, you start out, you go to their AI version, you copy paste that outline that you got. You go into the program. We like to generate something which is a custom format. And what it'll do is it'll start taking that context that you gave it and start writing your talk. For each of the slides, it takes your title, it takes your bullet point, it takes the description of the visual that you gave it, and makes up a slide. Now, what I think is cool about this is not just the speed, but how good the different things that are there. At the end, you export it over to PowerPoint. Quick, easy. This is not the hardest part. This is the easiest part. So why is this process important? If you want to make a good pitch, you have to go through a process. And the first part, which is usually the hardest, is you have a blank piece of paper in front of you. What you can do is use AI to fill that blank page. That gets you past the procrastination part. To give you an idea, when I work at the Founders Institute, it takes most participants somewhere between 4 and 5 weeks to fill in the first blank page. Next step, you get feedback and improve. We showed you how you can do this with AI. Talked about how you can do it with friends. You improve. You practice. Do it again. Get more feedback, improve a little bit more. And at the end, you get diamonds in the rough. Now, why does this work and why is it important? Before doing this, in the accelerator programs I was running, we typically had 20 presentations at the end, 5 minutes each. If you imagine 40% fail, that's 8 times 5 minutes. It's 40 minutes of suffering. It's 40 minutes of presentations that are horrible. If you look at this process, simply getting people to focus on making a story first, using AI to do things that are not easy, you get a 95% success rate. So instead of a bad time, 95 minutes of inspiration. So if you want to get more, what you can do is you can contact with me, Brian Cassidy, on LinkedIn. If you want, you can get a longer talk. I did have a 35-minute talk, Peter. I know it. I thought it was 15 minutes, so my oh my. You can scan the QR code. What you'll get is the 15-minute talk I just did. You get a 35-minute talk, and you get access to 2 free pitching tools. And you also get access to a 1-hour course on how to make a pitch. Now, how am I doing as far as time, Peter?
You have time, but we also we can also do a Q&A right now. So I do have a couple of questions, and we could also have other members of the audience ask questions. And Abdullah, you will go after Brian. So I believe that George won't be able to make it. So we'll have plenty of time, just so you know. So I have a question. So when you're saying that you're making a pitch, right? So there's many different types of pitches one can make, right? So I could make a pitch for a business, which I think I saw as an example on your slide. I could make a pitch for a research paper, right? If you're in academia, or a pitch for why I should be hired for a particular job.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, can you customize? So are there different kind of inputs that you can plug in and to sort of customize the pitch that you're trying to generate?
Yeah, there is, to a certain extent. I mean, the reality is your pitch is pretty much the same regardless of how you're doing it. So if you're looking for a job, you arrive, you tell people why you want the job. You start the conversation. You figure out what's going on from their perspective. You offer them a promise. You give them reason to believe. You tell them why things are going to be different, and a call to action. Hire me. If you're in an academic setting, same basic process. Now, the reality is we're doing different pitches, and it would be kind of strange to have this formula that works for everything. But really, all you're trying to do is trying to move somebody from one belief to another belief. And what you have to do is you have to catch their attention, give them a reason to believe, and end with the next step.
I see. And a separate question. So it's a sort of an idea for an experiment. If you have one group of people who come up with their own pitch, and then other group of people have come up with, use your tool to come up with an AI generated pitch. I'm wondering if you have a neutral party that kind of listens to those pitches. I'm wondering if they're able to differentiate which one is, AI generated or generated with help of AI, and which was, 100% kind of human. That's something that
if you go back 12 months ago, you could tell. Right now, you can't tell.
I see. Okay, so things have advanced.
It's come so far. I can tell you who's lazy in a pitch. I can tell you who didn't do the work. Because in fact, the thing that comes straight out of AI is not great. The thing that comes straight out of your brain is not great. What you can do is you can see the people who put in the effort and the people who didn't put in the effort. I thought the question you were going to ask was actually, can you identify which is better? And there you can. So the people using the AI are having a 95% success rate, a passing pitch. People without the AI have a 60% pass rate.
Yeah, well, the reason why I didn't ask which one could be better is because there could be there's a subjective kind of element there in terms of what you value, at least from my point of view. Of course, I'm not familiar with the topic in detail, so I might be wrong, but that to me, there's probably some subjective element, but
So actually what we've done is we've had people pitch using both methods. And we have expert pitch reviewers reviewing the pitches. And basically, we do a Nero game, which is thumbs up, thumbs down. I mean, that's really the primary thing. And actual quality of the pitch is usually better. But, the thing is, it all comes back to whether you practice it or not. It's whether you put in the effort. AI just speeds up the process. It gives you feedback faster. It gives you feedback better. It makes you smarter. By the way, the story behind making this was actually, I was running a pitching course, and the publisher said, "Oh, why don't you offer to do free pitch evaluations for all the participants?" And I was overwhelmed with the number of pitch reviews to make. And somebody said, "Look, AI could do this." I said, "No, don't be silly. AI can't review pitches. AI is not hearing their voice. It's not watching them speak." And actually what we did is we did testing of the quality reviews between reviewers, expert reviewers, and AI. And they were about the same. But the difference that came back is the quality of the comments are much better from AI. They don't get tired. It doesn't get lazy. And you can do it at 2:00 in the morning.
Thank you. So we have a question here in the Q&A, and I'm gonna read from Dr. Monica Mario. Can you share your perspective on failure as a tool for students to learn about entrepreneurship? I'd welcome a longer talk about our new BS in entrepreneurship. Thanks.
So the question of failure as a way to learn, is that the question? Because I don't understand the question exactly.
Can you share your perspective on failure as a tool for students to learn about entrepreneurship? Monica is here. Monica, can you perhaps clarify your question?
So let me give you a perspective on this. I teach entrepreneurship. I teach innovation. I run 2 of the largest accelerator programs in the world. Everybody talks about the need to fail. I think that's overrated. You need to succeed. You need to push really, really hard for success. But if you fail, you have to learn from it. So I think failure is an important part of the learning process, but anybody who starts out with the idea that they're going to fail is going to fail. And I know that's a bit heretical as far as a position, because everybody talks about fail forward and fail this, but I don't want to hear anybody saying they're going to fail.
I see. So yeah, so I agree that you shouldn't have failure as a sort of a mindset, or you shouldn't kind of think of it that way. But in the event that failure occurs, right, you still have to deal with it. So I assume that's perhaps what Monica meant. So
so let me put it in perspective. Okay, so I've done 4 years of research on companies that succeed with innovation and fail with innovation. The starting point of their ideas is almost always the same. Most companies fail because they don't grow ideas over time. And failure rates, 80–90%. Companies that change and learn and get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, succeed more often. So in fact, the game of entrepreneurship, the game of innovation is about failing forward, learning little bits and improving. And maybe it's not a failure, but it's a small success that you learn to get better with. Hey, Monica, see you're on the screen now. Hey.
Yes, I came back to my desk. Thank you for accepting the question and for giving that very insightful presentation. I appreciate Peter for reading my question aloud and for you to consider it. I also want to express my gratitude and appreciation for your opening up to a longer talk and sharing the resources with us. We just started a Bachelor of Science in Entrepreneurship, and we are conducting some research with nationwide with the students who are using the program.
Mm-hmm.
And something called failure-based learning, which I'm a big supporter of project-based learning. Now, the students we're not talking failure in terms of grade. We're talking allowing the students to understand failure so that they have a different mindset that allows them to overcome it, right? So we set them up in these projects where the outcome is unknown, and they are expected to produce a result, and inevitably that result isn't what the customer wanted. And so they have to pivot quickly and learn that as a skill. So we call that failure-based learning in entrepreneurship. That was the question, not so much setting out to fail. No one approaches the course with the intention of failing. It's just
Monica,
simply a micro project in a larger course that gives a mindset of overcoming failure, that it's not, you can pivot and iterate quickly. And the faster you can iterate, the faster you can get.
Excuse me, Peter. George is joining us, then we will have limited time, and I hope you stop.
I was
sorry, Monica.
I'll take my question offline. No problem.
Yes.
Thank you.
When you're speaking with Professor Brian, it's never be stopped, because he is professor, he is mentors, he is running accelerators, he's teaching everything over all the world. Then he have a great knowledge, but he have access through email. Hoover platform is supporting by AI. It can connect you with all the speakers, with all attendees, except our apology.
Yeah.
Thank you. So our next speaker will be Abdullah Kamal. Abdullah, whenever you're ready.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Peter. This was a very informative session before I went online. And to be honest with you, I was thinking about the presentation I had. So I was like, would I be judged right now while going through my presentation? It kind of put me on the spot right now coming after Dr. Brian. But thank you very much. This is very informative, and I'm definitely going back to my team just to evaluate how they went through the pitch to create the PowerPoint presentations. Even though these presentations we do are more of an eye-catching kind of presentation, just to get the clients always engaged. So this is something also that I will definitely take online and try to enhance my team's capabilities on that. So let me just share my presentation. And we'll kick off with first introducing myself. And then from there, I'll quickly go, and starting from 10:30, so I have 15 minutes. I'll leave 5 minutes at the end just for any questions or queries anyone might have. So a quick introduction about myself. My name is Abdullah Kamal, as it's obvious from the screen and from the name tag. The Regional Business Development Director at Nest, which is the leading company for training and development for both leadership training and traditional training. What we are including right now within the company, because of the fact that it is owned by the KIA, which is the Kuwait Investment Authority, the biggest sovereign fund in the GCC, the second, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the world. So basically, it is a fund that focuses on everything. It focuses on and hence why
So I think we're experiencing internet difficulties here. I think we lost connection with Abdullah there. Okay. George.
Yes.
Could you
Your time, George.
Could you-
Nobody can
yeah.
take it. This is
Wonderful,
UK.
wonderful.
So
Thank
hopefully
you.
Abdullah will join us in
Go
Thank you
ahead,
very
George.
much. Thank you so much. It's
Thank
an
you,
honor
George.
to be here.
Thank you. Yes.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. I've just spent the whole day actually presenting and exhibiting this exact topic to a number of patients here in the United Kingdom, where I've had to go through and present to them how artificial intelligence has to be correct, has to be perfect, to enable someone to actually gain the benefits of using that. So what I'd like to do is, within the actual time limit now, I want to quickly go through a number of slides just to show you some of the things that we actually discussed and spoke about. So what I'm going to do here now is just open up my slide deck. Hopefully you will see the screen. So please let me know if you can see the screen. 1 second.
Yes,
Lovely.
we can see the screen.
Lovely, great, thank you. So I'll just see if I... So can you all see the AI in healthcare and education slide?
Yes.
Yes, wonderful. Okay. So for some reason, I can only see you, Peter. So let me just make sure that I'll just stop sharing that and try again, just to make sure everything is being shared correctly. So 1 second. So you should hopefully now see this screen, which should be now My Care Transforms Care Services. Is that correct? And can everybody else see that as well? Because I'm afraid all I can see, Peter, is you. So I don't know whether my slides are on the screen or not. That's one of the, I'm not sure of.
We can see it. We can all see it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Wonderful. So My Care was originally created to look at the assistance of assisting all these 50-year-old people who we thought at the time needed our assistance and our help, I should say. And that basically now has transpired and actually has grown from everybody who is actually much younger than that, through to those in their 90s, and even one particular user who's 100 years old. So we are here, and we've been here for 8 years now, where we have created over the first 3 years of our existence this amazing and perfected artificial intelligence. We made sure that through the use of the AI, we could create and capture a number of specific biomarkers and specific pain points as well, that we would then assist our end users, not only the actual patients, but the organizations, to overcome the problems that they were facing. So when you look at a normal adult, and obviously I'm in my 50s now, so this obviously looks at me as well. You look at, for example, high frailty, high fall risk, social isolation, urinary tract infections, diabetes, of course, and things like respiratory tract infections, including, of course, COPD, COVID-19, stroke, mental health, and, of course, neurodegenerative conditions as well. Now, when I was actually living in Dubai, I found that some of the actual areas that I've mentioned here were pertinent in myself. I was actually coming up with conditions where I, for example, had chest infections. I had urinary tract infection purely because I wasn't drinking enough. I was dehydrated. I was actually very, very hot most of the time when I was working. And in fact, it related through to my time when I was actually there, as well as, of course, here in the UK as well. So MyCare's mission is to try and help and transform the lives of as many older adults, or adults if you wish, by 2030, and that would be 1 billion individual patients. So if we look now, for example, at the next element of this, which basically is the fact that this is one of our end users who basically has several preclinical and early stage chronic diseases, and the mix of services coming to her and constantly confusing her by saying, for example, I would like to have our organization offer you a watch, for example, where we would look at your steps and we would look at how much mobility you have, for example. And then we have other organizations coming to her and saying, look, we are remote monitoring. We can look at how you interact with your surroundings, and we can feed back that information to you. And there are other organizations as well, for example, with regards to those responsible for population health, coming to Jane and saying, actually, you're in good health, you're independent, and what do you need to keep you in that state of mind? And to be quite honest, Jane is looking at all these different offers, each one being slightly different, and she doesn't know which way to move, because as far as she's concerned, she just wants to remain independent, she wants to remain healthy, happy, and in the environment that she is used to being in. So what we do at MyCare is we offer this particular interaction with artificial intelligence, and it has to be exactly perfect. So if you look at the solution, we use something which is called our MyCube, or Monica, as we call her, and that's our digital voice-assisted digital health coach. Monica talks to you as much as you want her to. She answers your questions. She tells you the news. She looks at your actual reminders and your appointments, and she even goes through and actually gives you all information based on the requirements that you have for medication and all the other areas associated with your environment. So we have sensors in each individual room. We have medical devices taking her readings, and we also have all other specifics such as carer tokens and other things working for her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And what that basically gives you is the ability of taking all these data collection, these data points endlessly every single second, feeding our artificial intelligence, and then from there that being held in the cloud. The cloud then generates these insights, and the insights I will show you in a moment are second to none. They are phenomenal with regards to prevention of problems that she could potentially have. And then from there, we then place all that information on dashboards, either on handheld devices such as phones, iPhones, Android phones, or for example, on laptops. And that information is then fed back to hospitals, fed back to carers, and fed back to other organizations, where they will then look at the care that is needed to keep Jane healthy at her own home. Monica, at the same time, being this artificial intelligence, speaks to Jane all the time. She will answer her questions, but she will also initiate reminders and nudges to say, Jane, have you had a drink today? Jane, maybe we should go for a walk. Maybe we should look at doing something or having our lunch now, Jane. And she will then go through and interact with Jane for as long as she wants to. We use, of course, our own artificial intelligence, but on top of that, we have ChatGPT, which then makes it natural speaking. And from there, we can interact with Jane for 25 minutes about lots of different things in one particular go. We also have the ability here of having all these health indicators. We have recorded 1.76 billion data points against our patients, and we have stored those data points against each individual criteria for those patients in the cloud. And they are held against 70 plus health indicators. These biomarkers, such as voice, speech, lung, and mental health capacity, is constantly being fed into our AI, so that our AI within 7 days knows your routine back to front, and within 14 days knows your anomaly detection. So for example, our AI will know automatically whether you have eaten, whether you have slept, how well or how badly you have slept, how many times you've turned over during the night. If you, for example, are going to bed earlier than normal, if you, for example, are attending the bathroom several times during the night, which would indicate potentially a urinary tract infection. We also look at high probability markers such as COPD, pulmonary fibrosis, and of course, COVID-19. And we can even identify specifics with regards to early onset throat cancer and of course, early onset dementia as well. Through our artificial intelligence, the detection itself looks at areas such as delirium and also slurring for onset dementia, and also diabetes with the elasticity of the actual vocal cords as well. And in addition to that, we also track all areas such as sleep deprivation, cycles, coughing, choking, and even voice interaction. Whereas I struggled with my mother when she had early onset dementia, because I didn't understand how to keep answering her when she asked me where her mother was, who had died 40 years ago. Our system puts the person's mind at rest. She tells the person where they are, who they are, which environments they are in, and what is happening at that point in time. And they feel relaxed and happy that they now understand exactly what's happening around them. And this is the solution, as you see here. We have across the bottom of the screen all the actual devices that we use to capture this information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we have, for example, blood oximeters. We have, for example, pulse oximeters. We have, for example, blood pressure monitors. We have scales for BMI and weight measurements. We have digital thermometers. We have, for example, door sensors for microwaves, for fridges, for example, front door, back door. And we also have room sensors to look at all movement, humidity levels, temperature, and so on and so on. We even have, for example, dosage boxes for medication and also blood glucose monitors for diabetes. And all the information is fed to Monica, to the AI, automatically, error-free. There has not been one single error in 8 years from our system forwarding the information through to our AI. We have not had falls in months and months because the system itself can predict the actual fall nature of that particular person. We do falls prevention rather than falls detection. So here, as you can see, all the information is gathered, is captured, and is presented to not only the user, but the user's family and the user's care facilitators on the screens you see here. We have blood pressure, we have weight, we have blood oxygen saturation levels, we have movements from one room to the other. We have, for example, how much hydration the person has had. We have any reminders, any appointments, steps taken, but most importantly, we also have on here as well our smart insights from our AI, which automatically are generated by the AI itself. So here, for example, we are seeing that the individual patient, Martin in this case, for example, she has noticed is going to bed earlier than usual and not eating their dinner. She has also noted that Martin has in fact gone to the toilet several times during the night. And the prognosis of that would be that Martin is sitting in an environment where he is overheating. He is, for example, dehydrated. Because we incorporate acoustic gait analysis, which is patented for our organization, we can see the transition from the person from one room to the other, or even from the person from the bed to their bathroom. So we have everything available on the actual screen with regards to the information not only the family of the user needs, but also the carers of that user needs as well. And because of that, we prevent hospitalization. We are preventing readmissions to a rate of 89%. We are looking at preventing and saving organizations on carer visits, etc. And we also look at the reduction of specific urinary tract infections and other infections to 0. And that's what's important. And that's why AI has to be perfect when it comes to dealing with particular patients. So that concludes my individual presentation. We also produce for all our organizations. So for example, in the United Kingdom, we have hospitals, we have integrated care boards, we have care homes, and we have councils, which are using their own reports that we bespoke developed for them. These reports can show anything at all. They can show the activity levels for the person, the transition time for the person, the step counts, the sleep deprivation and the sleep health of that person, and also the visits to the bathroom, the kitchen, the appliances, and everything else as well. Thank you so much. And if there are any questions, I'd like to answer them now, if that's all right.
Thank you, George. Yeah, we're just gonna take 2 or 3 minutes for questions. I want to make sure that Abdullah will have time for his presentation. I just have one question here. So the individuals who are taking advantage of your service, have you been able to benchmark them to the general population? So I'm wondering, what is their life expectancy higher than that of the general population or people with comorbidities of some sort, and what that is?
That's a great question, Peter. And we've actually got 93-year-old ladies who are taking their own temperature and are taking their own blood oxygen saturation levels by simply placing the actual oximeter on their fingers. And Monica then says to them, please place it on your finger, press the button, and then she takes the reading and reads it back to them. Our users, because they are not falling and because they are staying at home for such a lot longer, end up going through and in fact being more happy in their own environment, and that leads to greater happiness and greater health as well, because they remain healthy and independent as well.
Thank you. Any other questions for George? All right, thank you, George. That was very interesting. So I was not aware of that service, but it's a great idea, obviously with a lot of value.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, and thank you again for giving me this opportunity to meet you all today again. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Hopefully this time we'll not have any disruptions, Abdullah.
Yes, indeed. I'm back again. It seems like there was an issue with the connectivity, so let's hope that this time it goes all smoothly. I made sure that everything should be going smoothly, but technology, it's a double-edged sword, as we say. So I'll just continue where I left off, and I think I was introducing myself and the company. I would make it now much shorter because of the fact I need to be much faster and we're running out of time. So with that, I'm just going to go to the presentation. And while I'm speaking about the presentation itself, I hope everyone can see it in full screen, right? Okay. So as I said, when it comes to Nest, which is a company fully owned by the Kuwait Investment Authority that is now mostly focusing on technology and localizing technology and talent, one of the biggest topics that we are adopting basically is AI and the use of AI and advanced technologies like virtual reality and augmented reality. And I think a lot of the professors and the esteemed guests have talked about one way or another on how such technologies have been used. However, when we combine such power, and I'm talking specifically about AI, and how AI could be integrated into VR and AR, it becomes just mind-blowing and another level or another realm of education and technology when it comes to healthcare also. So let me jump into the presentation. I'll just go over, over the technology, what is being done, what has been implemented so far, and who is actually implementing it, and where are we going? So to start off, when we talk about the convergence of AI with augmented and virtual reality, this is where a lot of the aspects on a lot of our personally, a lot of our clients are going into how could we adopt such technologies to help us in this fast-moving world, give us the solutions that were far-reaching previously, and make it within arm's reach. And this is not an easy job because now everything is fast-paced. Even attention is becoming shorter and shorter, and we could evidence that from, for example, all the social media applications out there where Instagram now has shorts or quick reels. YouTube has its shorts. Snapchat is another application. Everyone is used to getting knowledge, information, news quickly, inexpensively, and at arm's reach. So this is a very tough endeavor. But with such technologies, it is now currently possible. We are using it. We are adopting it here in Kuwait and in the GCC, since we're the exclusive partners of Eon Reality, which is the leading company when it comes to AR and VR with the integration of AI. Okay, so how are we using it? Well, when we talk about using it, it's being used to personalize experiences in terms of educational experiences, and even when it comes to utilizing it for soft skills. So this is a big game changer. It is something where students, professors, admin staff, anyone who is willing to gain more knowledge about a specific topic could create adaptive learning paths. It is real-time. It is based on requests that are made on spot. There's always enhancements, so you could enhance your learning experience. And because of the fact that now the technology that is within our palm of our hands is considered a very, very inexpensive but technical device, it has been possible to use it across all of these mobile devices and accessible anywhere, from anywhere around the world. So this is where the market has been growing at a very fast pace. When we talk about the AR/VR market alone, it has hit almost 40 billion. And now this is growing up to become up to 62 billion by 2029. And that's in US dollars. With most of the growth happening in North America, China, and Europe. And because of the fact that most of the technology is being invented or innovated within the North American region, then manufactured within China and eventually used across the globe, a lot of adoption has been going from west to east. And this is where people are learning from each other. And some of the top products that we have heard about are Apple Vision Pro, Meta Quest, and other devices like the HTC Vive or any other device like the Magic Leap, for example. All of these devices are being utilized for certain aspects, health-related lessons, experiences, you name it. Within the educational sector, we are personally now have contracted 2 very big universities here within the Gulf region that have expansion across 7 other countries, actually, having their headquarters in Kuwait. And they're using this technology to basically have the knowledge accessible to their students anytime and anywhere. So this is a big game changer. So now, it's not me talking about it. Actually, PwC conducted a study, and I'm just going to show one video out of these videos where it talks about how AR and VR have changed the game when it comes to knowledge, experiences, and even attaining new knowledge. And isn't this all what we would require from our students, employees, or trainees per se, that we need to give them information fast. We need to always keep them engaged. We need to keep them on top of the information that is being presented on a daily basis out there. It's not just that, it gives them confidence because of the fact that they're doing what they're learning instead of just reading it out of a textbook. It's giving people and users more confidence. They are more engaged because they're in that realm of AR or VR. So both of them, you're emotionally connected to the content, and this gives you a sense of confidence. So when we talk about how such technologies are being used, it's basically it's becoming a complete educational paradigm. It's because of the fact that we're learning through interactive 3D environments with the utilization of AI guided avatars. Then after learning, we're training on how to conduct such experiences, and then we're performing. So, and that's without going through any risks. If it's a risk-averse environment, without going through any purchase of expensive equipment, and basically being tested on site or on spot, but not actually being on a very hazardous site where there are specific chemicals. Maybe it's a hospital where you need to train on how to do certain surgeries. You don't want to basically do them on actual humans without having the proper training. And usually that's why doctors take a lot of years of practice before actually doing it on real patients. So imagine you can do this way ahead of time, get the confidence, get the experience, and then once you go there, everything seems so familiar. So this is where such technologies, and this technology in specific that I'm talking about is EON XR, because of the fact that we have now tried and tested it on real clients, on real premises. We can speak very confidently that we have seen exponential growth in knowledge, in perception, and on how to conduct certain aspects of speech, basically negotiations, and even critical thinking when it comes to soft skills. So where is it being used specifically, and how is it being used in education and healthcare? Well, as I said before, it is being used in personalized education, personalized learning, And this is where adaptive platforms cater to specific individual learning requirements. It gives you that early detection of students that are at risk, where you could have a timely intervention, and instead of just looking at all of the students, but basically focusing on the ones that would require support. It's an immersive experience. So using interactability, 3D environments, 360 environments, teaching students about actual locations instead of textbooks that are updated, I don't know, maybe every year. Even if it's every year, the knowledge is being outdated because of the fact that we're living in a fast-paced world right now. And the biggest aspect that we have noticed is cost and access. You know, since this is a cloud-based and most of the platforms now are cloud-based, this is basically making it way, way less than using the traditional way of, for example, simulations, where you had to bring for example, a 747 simulator, and this would cost in the millions of dollars. Now you can have this in a palm of your hands just by logging into a platform, requesting a 747 control center, and being there and trying to learn how to operate a 747. So imagine this within a couple of clicks could be done. Now this is possible. 2 years ago, it was kind of difficult to say that this was possible. So imagine in the time span of 2 years, we are now confidently saying that this is possible with technologies as EON XR. Within the healthcare sector, again, there are improvements within the diagnostics. You can have real-time monitoring and have everything presented in front of you in an AR environment where you can see the vitals of a human being, basically get hands-on training, on-spot training. So not just hands-on training, but on-spot training. So imagine having someone who is suffering from a cardiac arrest. And just by asking the AI within the AR sunglasses, you can get the response of what are the right steps and procedures to do and conduct. I mean, this is mind-blowing. And this is also operational efficiency, because AI now is starting to automate tasks and giving you information about patient care. And as I said, again, training is becoming much simpler and risk-free. So healthcare professionals could learn on the job while they're working, while they're looking at new patients, instead of wasting time. And I'm not saying wasting time when it comes to training, the traditional way of doing it, but imagine having that training on the palm of your hands and trying to get get a review of what you have learned in the traditional. So again, I just want to make it clear, this technology is not replacing the traditional medical fields training regimen, but basically enhancing it. And that's what we always say, it enhances, it facilitates, and it makes it more efficient. So this is something that we really focus on. Now, it's not just that. It moved into the next step of basically having spatial AI. So now AI doesn't just answer back to what kind of questions or queries you have. It basically senses the environment you're in, the location, the geolocation you're in, the language, the culture you're dealing with. And imagine feeding all of that knowledge into your AI, and within the platform, it will give you targeted, specific, custom responses based on the specific situations that you're going through. And then by utilizing that technology, you can input your knowledge, for example, textbooks, PDF files, training materials, and the AI will learn. So it keeps on learning. These large language models are basically learning what we're doing, basically going through all of that data, extrapolating that data, and giving you specifically what you would request based on the knowledge that you would require for specific situations. So the AI became more adaptive. It basically learns your pace and style. It gives you questions that used to be multiple choice. Now there are more Socratic dialogues. So it talks with you. It challenges your brain. It gives you these questions. So we can see that when AI first started, it was basically a question and an answer. But now it started building on that perception where it basically challenges you on your specific answers and start building more questions to see how deep it could dig and how questions could be answered in a more adaptive way. And this is where it started evolving, moving into soft skills. So now it even teaches you soft skills. Imagine you have difficulties presenting like I'm doing right now, and you can ask it to teach you on how to present, and it'll start conversing with you, making you more confident on what kind of questions you'll be receiving, and eventually improving your soft skills. And having you in that environment makes you more comfortable. Instead of just studying about it, you're actually living in an environment where you're tested as if it's real life environments, making you more confident, again, making you more adaptive to such environments and more comfortable at the end. So who's adopting it? As I said, and I've talked about it at the beginning of my presentation, North American region is leading the way. New products, new launches. Asia Pacific are the major hardware and software innovators. And then in Europe, AR and VR applications are used in healthcare, automotives, manufacturing. We've seen it in VW, big factories like Shell in the oil sector. Other companies, specifically here, for example, in Kuwait, KOC, Kuwait University, Arab Open Universities, when it comes to the educational sector. What are the market challenges? Well, obviously, since the technology, it's not new, but the innovation when it comes to AI being adopted is new, is the cost of hardware. We still need to focus on making it cheap, because at the end, not anyone could afford to buy 10 Pro Visions, which one by itself costs almost 5K. That's a hefty amount if you want to have such a device at your disposal. And then once such devices become cheaper, you'll see that there are more consumer adoption. Competition, would become more and more fierce, and that brings prices down. There's data privacy concerns. Obviously, with any new technology, everyone is still asking, and I mean, this question has been asked over and over within this presentation conference: how safe is it? How is my data protected? And this is obviously a general concern. And since there's a lot of different efforts here and there, obviously you'll see market fragmentation, but then you'll start see more mergers, more adoption of the technology, making it more mainstream. Maybe there'll be two big players like we're seeing now with Android and the iPhone system, or Microsoft and Mac. But eventually it'll be clear. You'll have two to choose from, 2 to 3 players to choose from, and it'll be much easier depending on your preferences and depending on what would you prefer. Now we have a turnkey solution, Eon XR. It's giving you the solution that works with all platforms, all operating systems, and it could be downloaded through the desktop, iPhones and Android devices, and even VR headsets. So we're there. It's just that we need some time to be solidly there. People will be much easier, have a better perception of it, and start to basically ease into it. I say it's not going to be forced. It's going to be an easing process all the way into the AR and VR realm, which is now basically being called XR. So as I said, used to take a lot of time to produce such experiences. Now it came down to minutes. So before it used to be coding, building of 3D objects. Imagine now with just simple prompts with AI, everything could be created. You could create a lesson in 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 2 clicks. You can create a whole experience to learn about any topic you can think about, anything you can dream about. Just say it within that prompt and within the Eon XR application, and it could be there with 3D assets, with an AI avatar taking you through the lesson, and everything. So the whole 9 yards could be done in minutes.
Sorry
Yes.
to interrupt. If you can finish within the next 2 minutes, because we're overlapping with the next session. So I know we had a few technical difficulties, and thank you, John, for your patience. So we're taking, but yeah, just
sorry for that, James. With that, I'm actually done. Just about the future of it. I've spoken about how AI will be moving in education and healthcare. So this is where we're going. This is how AI and AR will be used in education and healthcare. It is pushing the boundaries. It is making learning more adaptive. It is making it more at arm's reach. People could access any type of knowledge with the accuracy. I wouldn't say the 100% accuracy, but enough accuracy to make you build on. So I'm always careful when it comes to AI. And you can notice across my presentation. And thank you, everyone, for being here. I really appreciate what I have been hearing so far. I hope this is a presentation where you could take or you could see where AI have advanced AR and VR miles and miles, and it actually made big leaps instead of steps when we talk about the technology and how it's being adopted. Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate it, and I can open the ground, Peter. I don't, Peter, if we have some time for questions, but you take the lead.
Yeah, I would ask for just like 2 more minutes from John, and apologies for the for overlapping with your session. So yeah, if anyone has any questions. Yeah, well, I have
Peter.
one.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead, Peter.
Go ahead, Michael.
No, I was just going to say, as I've listened to this presentation and others on AI and how we're implementing this in a lot of different fields, healthcare, education, et cetera, it's just mind-blowing how much this can do and how time-saving it will be. It will make people, I think, so much more productive. We'll be able to get so much more done in a shorter amount of time having AI assist. So I think this presentation was very informative. The last one too, I thought was very informative too. I just continue to be amazed at how much of this is being done.
Well, thank you, Abdul. Thank you, George and Brian, for your presentations. And now I'll turn it over to the chair of the next session, which is my colleague, Dr. Monica Mario.